Welcome to the 2026 Northwest 200 here in Portrush. I'm here with a few other creators as guests of Honda to see what goes on behind the scenes. So in this video I'm going to show you a little bit of the racing. We'll have a look at what goes on in the pits, but we're also going to get out and ride for a day to visit some of the sites that you can see here. There are some fantastic roads around here, but there's also some really lovely places to visit, so we'll include that in the video too. So come along and join us as we show you around the Northwest 200. For 1 week at the beginning of each May, the seaside towns of Portrush and Portstewart in County Antrim become a mecca for road racing fans as the Northwest 200 takes over. We touched down on Wednesday afternoon and made a beeline for the paddock to check out the bikes being prepped and catch up with the Honda racing team. It's a great opportunity to see riders like Dean Harrison and John McGuinness in a more relaxed setting before qualifying gets underway the following morning. Thursday is qualifying day and the plan was simple: jump on the bikes and ride to various points around the circuit to watch the action unfold. Our first stop was Metropole Corner, where the riders charge into downtown Portrush at an eye-watering speed. It also gave us the perfect excuse to enjoy the sunshine, grab a coffee and take in the sea air. Unfortunately, Superbike qualifying was red flagged with a lengthy delay expected. Rather than wait around, we decided to saddle up and head out of town, taking the opportunity to visit the spectacular ruins of Dunluce Castle and grab some lunch along the way. Tragically, however, it was later announced that Czech rider Kamil Holan had lost his life following a crash at Station Corner, one of the fastest sections of the circuit. The mood around the paddock understandably changed and racing suddenly felt far less important than the people who make the sport what it is. Our thoughts remain with Kamil's family, friends and team. Friday is a rest day for the racers, with the roads reopening to the public as normal. We took the opportunity to ride the circuit for ourselves before exploring some of the attractions that make this corner of Northern Ireland worth visiting during race week or at any other time of year. Following the stunning Causeway coastal route, we passed Dunluce Castle once again before riding through Bushmills, home to one of Ireland's most famous whisky distilleries, and continuing on to our first destination, the Giant's Causeway. This is a really weird natural phenomenon. It's somewhere in the region of 40,000 plus basalt columns, which were formed some 50 or 60 million years ago through volcanic activity. And it looks man-made, and I guess that's what brought around the legend of Finn McCool, who was the giant that supposedly lived here, and this was his attempt at building a bridge across to Scotland. Now, according to Irish folklore, the reason for the bridge was that Finn was challenged to a fight by a rather unpleasant Scottish giant named Benandonna. Not wanting to get his feet wet on the way to Scotland, obviously, Finn supposedly ripped up huge chunks out of the Antrim coastline and hurled them into the sea, creating a stone pathway all the way across. The problem was that when he finally got there, he realised Benandonna was absolutely enormous, much bigger than he thought. So, displaying the kind of tactical bravery many of us can relate to, Finn turned around and legged it straight back to Ireland. Expecting the Scottish giant to come looking for him, Finn's wife Una came up with a plan. She disguised Finn as a baby, wrapped him in blankets and laid him in a giant-sized cradle. When Benandonna appeared, Una welcomed him in and offered him a griddle cake. Unfortunately for the visitor, she'd hidden iron griddle plates inside it and he nearly broke his teeth trying to take a bite. Then she introduced him to the baby. Seeing the size of the child, Benandonna came to the obvious conclusion that if that's the baby, the father must be absolutely terrifying. Deciding he wanted nothing of that fight, he turned around and fled back towards Scotland. In his panic, he tore up the causeway behind him so Finn couldn't follow, leaving only the sections we can still see today. And the legend doesn't stop there. There is a link in this story to the most famous road race in the world, the TT. As Benandonna disappeared into the distance, Finn grabbed a huge chunk of earth and launched it after him. He missed him completely and the lump landed in the Irish Sea and became the Isle of Man. So if you do come to this part of the world, it's definitely worth coming. It is, let's say, the most popular destination for tourists in Northern Ireland, but it's definitely worth the trip and the walk down the hill. There is a bus. If you want to take the bus down and not walk, that'll cost you £1, which is very reasonable. Probably Mossy's going to get that back because it is getting on a bit now. We continued along the coast road, making the most of the beautiful weather and taking in the stunning scenery before eventually arriving at our next destination, which is Carrick-a-Rede. This spot sits on a spectacular piece of coastline with an amazing coastal walk heading down to what was one of my highlights. The famous rope bridge suspended almost 100 feet above the Atlantic Ocean, which takes you onto the rocky island of Carrick-a-Rede. The bridge was first erected by fishermen in 1755, and thankfully it has been replaced since then with a more robust offering. But it is still a wobbly journey, and if you're not good with heights, it can make for a nervous crossing. So I've come across a moss in the wild.
Ah, well, we're everywhere.
How you doing, Chris? How was that rope bridge experience?
Well, I mean, it started, didn't it, what seems like about 5 miles ago.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trek.
With a bit of undulation, so I was a bit knackered when I got to the little hut there, but when I looked over the edge, Jesus, man. It's all about confidence. I had none. Do you know what? I was okay on the bridge until the cameraman started making it wobble about a bit. And then when I looked down, let's put it this way, I'm hoping there's a cab rank just a bit further down here.
There'll be a rowing boat. You can.
Well, anything to avoid me going back that way will be snatched.
Luckily, Stephen, one of our National Trust guides, had wandered down with us and allowed us to visit the original fisherman's hut, which normally is off limits to the public. It's an amazing place just to sit and take in the view, and you get a real idea of just how tough it was making a living here fishing for salmon. More YouTubers in the wild.
I know, right? I found a quiet spot.
Yeah, and we've spoilt it. You come down here, get some peace and quiet. But no. It's such a wonderful spot to visit, and I think its natural beauty and wild coastline made it my highlight of the day.
Would you recommend to the other riders to definitely visit this as well?
Yeah, definitely.
It's literally like 5 minutes away.
Yeah, and because of the point that you made earlier, with the portion sizes in Northern Ireland, you do get to work it off.
You need to work it
I
off.
don't think I mentioned it already in there, but I can see that
Sorry,
you're already enjoying portion sizes of the Northern Ireland.
How's your swimming?
My swimming is spectacular good.
Okay, we'll find out.
I'm very fit person.
Let's put it to the test.
Yeah.
You're going with me, but you're going to probably float.
I'm just getting roasted on camera. Okay, I thought you were going to be nice to me.
I love you.
I thought you were going to be nice to me.
Sorry.
So no more dinners for me. I could have stayed here for hours, but we had more to discover. So we took that stunning coastal path back to the car park to move on to something completely different. We soaked up more of the fabulous Causeway coastal road as we snaked our way across country to Glenariff Falls. Now, to get the full experience, head to the top car park at Glenariff Forest Park, where you can take in some absolutely stunning views before walking the 1.5 mile trail down to the falls. But with some local knowledge, you can leave the main car park and ride a short distance to another, which is just a 5-minute walk through the tranquil forest to the main falls. If you're wearing bike gear, I would highly recommend this approach. I found the trolls that live under the bridge.
Hiya!
The path through the falls is peaceful, lush and full of wildflowers, and the falls themselves are mesmerising, and it's a trip well worth making. But genuinely, if you're out touring and you want to do some nice riding and visit some beautiful spots, I think in this short video we've seen 3 of the top tourist spots in Northern Ireland. I'm not saying they are the top 3, but they are 3 of the top or most visited places in this part of the world, and definitely worth the trip. Also, if you're a National Trust member, then access to the Giant's Causeway is free, as is access to the rope bridge. But as the saying goes, time flies when you're having fun, so we needed to leave the tranquil forests and make our way across to Ballymoney for a Northwest 200 pilgrimage. However, there was some drama to come. Just as we entered Ballymoney and stopped for some fuel, Kate's NT1100 was getting a bit smoky. It turned out that something had clarted the radiator with enough force to bust it, and coolant was leaking everywhere.
Have you got a wet knee? Oh, you mucky pup.
Luckily, we were only around the corner from the dealer principal of Ballymena Honda, who had very kindly loaned us the bikes for the event. We nursed the stricken NT across town, then Kate jumped on the back of the Africa Twin with me, and we made the short journey to Joey's Bar. During race week, this place is buzzing, especially on the rest day. It's a trip you have to make if you're coming over. After a quick bit of refreshment, big up Guinness Zero, we saddled up and returned back to our lodgings. It was at this point that I took the opportunity to catch up with Mossy to let him tell you all about his latest venture, and it may be something you can get involved with.
Just over a month ago, I decided to put everything I own either into storage or sell. I've left my living quarters, my flat, and I now live off my bike.
Right, okay,
I'm effectively of no fixed abode. Basically, I'm travelling around the country, and I've made an appeal to the viewers of Lamb Chop Rides, his channel, because that's where I'm going to feature this journey, to put me up for the night. I need some accommodation, and you would not believe just how many offers and just how generous and kind people have been.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the fact that, each day is a blank canvas, really, in terms of where I'm going to go, the routes I'm going to choose, who I'm going to meet en route, who I'm going to meet when I sort of rest my head for the day. It's the ultimate bike tour.
So if people want to hear some interesting stories over your life in motorcycles, how do they go about doing that? How do they get in contact with you?
You could either do it via Lamb Chop Rides, or you can contact me directly on my email address, chris.moss@hotmail.co.uk. Ideally, I need a safe place to keep my bike. I can sort of chat on a bit, to say the least, about my 50 years in bikes and over 30 years as a bike journo, I've amassed a few tales.
Indeed.
And do you know what the other good thing? Quite apart from meeting new people, it's really important to meet motorcyclists, because we keep sort of presenting and writing stuff for them without sometimes knowing who we're addressing,
Okay, yeah. So if you do want to get involved, you know exactly what to do now, and I'll leave the last word, as ever, to Chris.
Please help me.
And so to Saturday, the final day, race day. The pits, grid, hospitality tents and stands are busy and bustling. The sun is shining, but a stiff bitter wind is blowing, keeping the flags rigid. And on one section of the track, it's given the riders quite a tailwind, so we're gonna see some record-breaking speeds today. John McGuinness came to complete 100 races at the Northwest this weekend, but because of the cancelled Friday evening races, he would only make it to 99. Dean Harrison was also looking for his first Northwest 200 win. Would this be the weekend? Unfortunately, not in the first two races. Dean was in prime position a lot, but on so many occasions, the races punctuated by red flags were a bit of his undoing. So 2 second places in those first 2 races.
So here we go, last race of what has been a fantastic day of racing here on the Saturday. Hasn't quite worked out for the Honda guys. Dean Harrison was sat neatly in second in the Super Sport race earlier on, and it got red flagged with 2 laps gone, and with the restart he didn't quite manage to get to the front, which was a real shame. So hopefully in the last Superbike race he'll be able to do that. But if you are into bikes, if you like racing, if you've never been to any road racing before, this is definitely a place that you'd want to come.
But don't just take my word for it. Kate, what has been your favourite part of the weekend?
Everything. I can't pick. I'm sorry. I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm sorry. I can't pick. It's all been mint.
Okay, so Diamante, I've spoken to the other guys. If you could pin down one thing that's been your favourite part of the trip, what would it be?
It's a company, and I've just told Kate a minute ago how wonderful it is to actually have other creators, other YouTubers, and we definitely should do that more often, because I could see that happening a lot in other industries, and we all have the same passion, and just to share that with you and Kate, it's incredible.
One of the people that you haven't heard from yet, who has been doing sterling work in the background and providing some of the fantastic video footage that you've seen, is Mikey. Mikey,
Hey mate,
thank you for all of the sterling work you've done with the videos.
you're very, very welcome, mate. Very, very
Let
welcome.
me get you in screen. There we go. What has been your favourite part of this whole trip?
I think just seeing some of the sights of Ireland, to be honest, mate. I mean, the racing is great. I have been to the Northwest before, but I've always wanted to go to places like Giant's Causeway, and that rope bridge I thought was unbelievable, and the waterfalls, and just being out in nature with a really good bunch of guys. Like, it's been incredible. I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, I've seen the Giant's Causeway so many times on imagery and promotional material for Ireland, but until you get it and see it for yourself, it's something different. Like say on that rope bridge, I'd never even heard of, and I thought that was even more impressive, funny enough, than the Causeway. It's just
That was probably my favourite bit.
yeah, me too. Just going over there and just seeing some of the scenery around the Irish coast here has been phenomenal. So
When you're looking at what looks like the very professional videography, that was this man, not me. So that's the end of the race. Unfortunately, we didn't get the finish that we wanted. There was a red flag because of an oil spill, and then time moved on. The light was getting low, and the roads have to reopen because they're only closed for a certain amount of time. So the race was called, and Storm Stacey took the win with Dean Harrison, unfortunately getting yet another second place. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. This really is a fantastic part of the world to ride a motorcycle. If you've never been to the Northwest 200 and you fancy it, I would definitely recommend it. And whilst you're here, get out and do some exploring. A couple of thank yous to say. Thank you to all the other creators that were here that made it such a fun event. And thank you to Honda for inviting me along and looking after us very well indeed. So if you've got any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. And all that leaves me to say is until next time. Thanks for watching. Take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.